All right, let's talk about a subject that for a lot of us feels like a secret language that's just designed to be confusing. Chemistry. But what if I told you we could totally crack the code? Today, we're going to transform chemistry from something that feels like torture into a game you can actually win. Does this sound familiar? I mean, the endless formulas, all the different reactions, the equations. It's like someone just dumped the entire periodic table on your brain and said, good luck. It's so overwhelming, and that feeling of your mind just shutting down, it's completely normal. But trust me, it does not have to be that way. Look, you don't need to be some kind of genius to master chemistry. Nope. What you need is a system, a repeatable process that's built on a foundation of, brain hacks, memory tricks, and some incredibly smart study methods that just bypass all the confusion and get you straight to actually understanding the stuff. Okay, so the very first step in our blueprint is to get this one crucial thing. Chemistry isn't just one single giant subject. It actually has three very distinct personalities. And trying to study all of them the same way, that's the first mistake pretty much everyone makes. So the first real breakthrough is just realizing that each branch of chemistry plays by a different set of rules. Physical chemistry, that's a game of math and logic. Organic is all about recognizing patterns, kind of like a puzzle. And inorganic, well, that's all about understanding trends on the periodic table. So your main tool there is visualization. Just knowing that each one needs a different strategy is a massive first step. Seriously, it's like half the battle won right there. So knowing the different branches is one thing, but how do you actually learn them? This is where we can replace that passive habit of just, staring at a textbook with an active learning system that gets you results, and fast. This strategy is called the laser focus system, and it's a super simple 25-minute loop you can use for every single concept you tackle. First, you watch a quick summary. Then, you explain it on paper. Next, you solve a few problems, and then, and this is absolutely crucial, you teach it out loud. This whole process is proven to dramatically increase how much you remember because you're actually engaging with the material, not just passively looking at it. Okay, so you're learning the concepts, that's great, but how do you prepare for the actual exam? This is where working smarter, not harder, really comes in. What if, instead of starting with Chapter 1, we just flipped the entire process on its head? This is what we call the reverse pyramid. You don't start with the syllabus, you start with past exam papers. You figure out which topics show up again and again, and you make those your priority. This way, you're preparing directly for the exam's actual blueprint, focusing all your energy exactly where it's going to have the biggest impact. All right, let's get a little more specific. We know the branches are different, so let's look at some custom game plans for tackling the two most intimidating ones, organic and physical chemistry. You see, this requires two completely different mindsets. For organic chemistry, you've got to treat it like a puzzle. Reactions aren't just random facts. They're pieces that fit together in a logical way. But for physical chemistry, you treat it like a math problem. The goal isn't just to memorize formulas, but to really understand their logic. And a critical tool for this is keeping a mistake journal to track your errors. And that mistake journal, it is so powerful. I mean, systematically tracking your errors can eliminate up to 80% of common calculation mistakes. Just think about that. That is a massive, massive win. Okay, so we have the systems and we have the tactics. Now for the really fun part. How do we make all of this information actually stick in our brains without just, brute force memorization? How are you ever going to forget that image now? It's a mnemonic for Avogadro's number, 6.022 times 10 to the 23rd. The science on this is crystal clear. The sillier, the more vivid, and just the more bizarre the mental image is, the more likely your brain is to remember it. So really, get creative with it. And for more complex things, like a whole series of reactions, you can use something called a memory palace. You basically associate each step of a process with a specific object or spot in a place you know really well, like your own house. So to remember the information, you just mentally walk through your home. It sounds fancy, but it's a legitimate and surprisingly powerful memory technique that people have been using for centuries. But here's the thing. All of these techniques, the learning loops, the memory tricks, they work best when they're built on a solid foundation of smart habits. I mean, after all, you can't really hack your way out of pure exhaustion. This is a technique called habit stacking. All you do is link a new study habit to an existing daily routine. By piggybacking on something you already do automatically, like making tea or brushing your teeth, the new habit becomes almost effortless. It totally removes the friction of trying to get started. This chart, well, it really says it all, doesn't it? A tired brain can take around 5 hours to do what a fresh, rested brain can get done in just 45 minutes. Sleep isn't a luxury, people. It is your single most powerful study tool, period. So after all of this, after completely changing our entire approach, let's ask that question one more time. It's no longer a source of pain or some giant wall of confusion. It's a game, a puzzle with rules that you can understand and a system that you can master. It has its challenges, for sure, but it's a game you can now actually play to win. And this right here is the ultimate goal. The true victory isn't just about getting a good grade. The real win, that's the moment when you shift from being a passive student who just memorizes facts to being an active scientist who can look at a problem and predict the outcome. That's when you know you truly get it. So take this system, make it your own, and start playing the game. And when your friends and your teachers see your results and they ask how you suddenly became a chemistry expert, well, you'll know what to do. Just give them that confident, knowing scientist smile.